Hello and welcome to Leviathan News. Today is May 3rd. And we got a special guest. DeFi Dave is in the house.
Hello. An honor to be here finally.
I know, Dave, you are in the network state and you're here to bring the latest on what's happening there.
I'm here at Vitalik Bilderberg, JK, aka Zuzalu. They just lifted the media embargo, so people can write and report on it now.
So what's the lowdown?
Wait, sorry, what? I have no idea what this word is.
Okay, so Dave's been at this conference, network state, where like all Vitalik made this in the former Yugoslavia, right?
Yeah. So basically, Vitalik and some friends in his circle wanted to get together to bring a bunch of people across all different fields, not just crypto. And it really isn't crypto focused. You have longevity people, you have network state people, you have AI people, you have ZK people, and he wanted to bring them all together in this one location off the coast in Montenegro for 2 months and just like live life and see what happens. I would call it the equivalent of being on this like pop-up college campus, this pop-up city. And each week has a different theme. I've only been here for like a little over a week, and I only plan to be here for a few more days. But they have like different themes every week. So in the beginning, they had a lot of longevity talks at like the Dome and around this area. It's all in this like small campus radius. Next week was like they had a lot of ZK stuff. I learned more about ZK stuff over the past like week than I did over the past year, just because I haven't kept up with it. And now I'm around so many like ZK people and devs. And most recently over this past weekend, it was network state week. So, they had a bunch of like different people involved with network states, whether it's charter cities or setting up their own network states to come and talk. And, they had a Balaji come. Well, not Balaji. He doesn't actually he only shows up virtually, but they had Balaji speak and, he gave a interesting Q&A, and it's been a really cool it's been a really cool week. Learned a lot, been doing a lot of listening, been trying to spread the good word of Frax far and wide here, and good word of the Curve ecosystem as well. It's been fun.
So what's the turnout? How many people are there?
So it like there's different categories of people. You have residents who are here for the full 2 months, and then you have visitors like myself who might be here for like a few days or a week or 2 weeks. And so I think the full-time residents are about like 150 to 250 people, and then like another like 100 or 200 visitors. So at any given, I think there was like 500 people at one point,
wow, like
at the town hall yesterday. And so it's like this like literal pop-up city. And what's really cool about it is doing all these like experiments and hacking along, like test runs. For example, they have something called like, it's called Zuzalu. So they have the Zoo passport. And so it's like the ZK passport, and like you use it to like sign into stuff. And it's really interesting seeing these like mini experiments play in real time. And like, we talk about the tech, but like it's cool seeing like the tech actually used.
So did you need a special invite to join this sort of Ethereum Illuminati, or is this something that anyone can show up to Montenegro and enjoy?
Yeah, so to join the so yes, you need to apply. So there was an application process for both being a resident as well as being a visitor. And so like I saw this happening. I was like already traveling, and I'm just like, might as well like head over to Zuzalu to see what's up. And it's I've never seen like such a concentration of not only smart people, because it's just like smart people at conference and stuff, but like people that are so aligned in their hearts and their mission, and it's quite inspiring.
That sounds pretty awesome. Mm-hmm. Well, when you I don't think you can tell us about the polycules.
Vitalik, that's funny.
No, that all ended with SBF, but I'm sure it's probably a lot of fun, and you're gonna have to come back and bring some more stories. I know you've given a few speeches there already, haven't you? Been on a few panels?
Yes, so I've been on one panel, me and the My Finance guys. We are on a panel about stablecoins and DeFi, and we'll be releasing our podcast today on Flywheel, so make sure you go check that out. And actually, I'm having a workshop tomorrow about stablecoin maximalism and a new way to understand DeFi. So I have to start preparing for that, because you know me, I love to procrastinate.
What's been the highlight of the trip so far?
I would say there's been two highlights for me. One, every morning I cold plunge at 8 a.m. and go into the sauna, and like it's like and like being with people and bonding in people, both cold plunging and in the sauna, has really been, you know, a real highlight for me. Like there are like some like really big people I was like sitting next to, and I had no idea who they were until after the fact. I'm like, oh damn. And so just being able to like just like talk to them, listen to their stories, you know, listen to where they come from. So like any like type of bonding experience like that. Also, like we went on this like pretty cool rafting trip like a week ago. We played like a pretty intense game of ultimate frisbee. It was really funny because it was the longevity people versus us, and we beat the longevity people, and I'm very proud of that.
They'll win the long game though.
Yeah.
So this is Montenegro. Is it coincidence that that's where Do Kwon was faking his passport to go to? Was he supposed to be the guest of honor?
Allegedly. I'm just kidding. No, and I think it's a pure coincidence that he was happened to be here. And also, at the end of the month, EdCon, at the end of like Zuzalu's EdCon, which is like the Ethereum educational, some developer conference, some Ethereum developer conference is happening like May 19th to 24th, and it's not like, I think it says like invite only, as it's like your standard ETH conference and stuff.
So like sounds super awesome and fun, and like I'm jealous I'm not doing rafting trips and like playing ultimate frisbee with Vitalik and like spiking on like whatever. But what are your like big takeaways from like experiencing this? Like, I mean, man, like a couple hundred people like in Vitalik's there, like you're like you're there in the center. Like, what are your takeaways about how like the world is changing and how our industry is changing, and like what are you taking away from Vitalik's molten core that we us plebs can only get through the internet?
Yeah, like it's funny. You messaged me earlier, Haim, about ZK, like of me, like, you know, not looking at ZK as much, and I think ZK is huge from not just like a blockchain perspective, but from a technological perspective as well. Like I've learned so many like different applications that it could be used for, and not only that, but like also like things where ZK could be improved, and like things that needs to be like worked on. Like it could be anonymized even more per se, and have like less identifies and stuff. And so like really, it's really inspiring to see like ZK work and like have like blockchains have more use than beyond just like our like fun little DeFi games and whatnot. Network states are an interesting idea. It made me really think about cities and countries in a different way, because it's interesting. We measure the GDP of countries when we think of GDPs in a country basis, but it's really, in reality, it's cities that drive the GDP of countries, not like countries drive the GDP of cities. So it's starting to think about like, economies on that scale differently. It was a nice insight I had from the Network State Week. And and Balaji is he's quite doomer right now, and but like it is what it is.
Yeah, I mean, look, you got to be that kind of doomer when you have that much money on the line.
Yeah, I want to write like a few blog posts from this. Like I want to do a wrap up blog post about like things I like took away from Zuzalu, and I also want to take Balaji's Funhouse Mirror of History hypothesis and make like basically like map that out at some point. But right now my agenda is Stablecoin Maximalist Workshop, and then Zuzalu recap. And I've just been like networking like crazy and like just trying to meet as many people as possible over the past week while I'm here, because I'm not sure if anything like this is going to happen again. This will probably happen in some form, but like I know the team here, they've been great. Shout out like everyone at Zuzalu for organizing this, because this is like logistically really cool to like get together, but also very difficult. So respect to the whole team for doing that. And it's really amazing. Like someone like Vitalik, he's such like a shelling point where like people will like come from like all over the world just to be here. And I've like I said, I've never felt like so inadequate in my life, because it's just like everyone here is so smart, and I can just like learn from so many people.
Got it. Well, thank you so much. And while you're hanging out with Vitalik, for the sake of all of our bags, make sure that he doesn't get a girlfriend. Like, I don't think we could handle that kind of nuke.
That's too late. I'm just kidding.
No. Gossip coming in.
No.
Finally, breaking news. Finally.
I'm just kidding. I'm just messing around.
Well, I hope you can stick around and jam on the headlines with us for a few minutes.
Yeah, I'm down.
Well, you've been busy extending your life with some Frisbee. There's been a ton happening in the kind of like boring on-chain world. So, and even in the off-chain world. So, of course, yesterday, the big news was that U.S. regulators seized First Republic Bank to sell assets to JP Morgan. What's been the conversation either from Zuzulu or the rest of the world that all of you have had about the fallout from that, as well as Fed rate hikes, of course, today.
I guess that goes back into what Balaji was saying, like, the canary in the coal mine, like 3 major bank failures in the past 55 days. It's like, hey guys, there's something going on here.
Yeah, the thing that's so weird to me is that it's like everyone seems to know what's happening, and yet no one seems to care.
Yeah, I mean, it's like pretty crazy. There's like 8 pending financial crises on the horizon. Like the one that I'm tracking most closely is the debt ceiling showdown.
In June.
But like that's an issue. Then we also have like the financial environment created by these like high rates in a economy that has oriented itself towards 0 rates for 30 years. I mean, like it is interesting that it does seem to be kind of business as usual. And I think that's because like all of these problems individually seem like pretty solvable and like pretty manageable if like people just stop being assholes about it. But when you start like stacking them all together, I don't know, man. It's a pretty scary time.
Also, I think people tend to be in denial, They see, as long as it happens to someone else, they're like, never mind, like, come on, what are the chances? It doesn't matter that they are in a bank which is like 1/20th in size of other banks that collapsed. People just don't want to believe that this kind of stuff can be relevant to them. So they just keep saying, no, I'm sure someone is figuring something out and doing stuff and whatever. Because really, we don't, as human beings, I think we don't really like to tackle our issues.
I mean, look, we're kind of in like a similar like mental state as like with nuclear war, where it's like it's just so bad.
Yeah.
It's so bad that if it happens, everything's over. So like,
Did Ukraine really bomb the Kremlin or try to go after like Putin? Did you guys see that video?
I don't know. I saw the video of a drone hitting the Kremlin and exploding last night.
Is that real?
Wow.
Yeah. So I don't know what that means.
It's just the this is fine meme, right? Yeah. Like that's what 2023 is, just active fires.
Legit. Although, I was just trying to bring up nuclear war as a metaphor for like the nuclear like annihilation that's about to happen in financial markets. But thank you, Dave, for bringing me back to actual nuclear war.
That's why I'm here.
As if the real world couldn't get worse, it's also happening to be the fact that we're in an election year coming up. So it's going to get even worse. So over the past 24 hours,
it could get better.
It could get better. You never know.
True.
Let's got a refrain here. Over the past
definitely
24 hours,
raise some interesting discussions. I think that 24 with like seeing crypto Twitter in an election year when you're in, I think it's going to be actually kind of fascinating, like to see all these perspectives and narratives collide and people like bringing their own ideologies into the mix. At least culturally, I think it's going to be very interesting.
Yeah, so the past 24 hours actually had some really interesting developments just on the political front in terms of how the candidates, not the front runners necessarily, but both challenging candidates in both parties have basically gone on record in various forms of crypto issues. So yesterday, Florida Governor Ron DeSantis had a lengthy video in which he declared that Florida was going to be off limits for CBDCs. And the Democratic challenger, Robert Kennedy Jr., also had a pretty extensive speech in which he said, quote, the FDIC and SEC have no authority to wage an extra legal war on crypto that leaves major banks as the collateral. So, Rex, you're always saying you don't want to get political, but now's your chance. Let's get political.
I mean, as a degen, I love it. Unfortunately, these are the two. Well, I don't like. I personally just think that like both these candidates are like totally irrelevant. I don't think Ron DeSantis or RFK Jr. like have any probability of like even competing competitively in the primary. So like I love the conversation, and I think that this is like the whole point of the electoral process is that you get other people in there to put these ideas out there, and then through like whatever we get to like the center. I just think that process right now is broken. And so like, I don't have high hopes, but I do love to see the conversation coming up. And even if I like totally disagree with anti-CBDC maximalism, I would rather people have talking about it than like not talking about it, but agreeing with me.
Agreed. I also think that it's very important, even from my side of the world, looking at the states, where we are kind of looking forward to see how the states handle all kind of the things, and seeing now candidates from both parties actually finally saying something normal about crypto. I think that it's a progress. I'm not gonna say that I'm not gonna count it as meaningless, because okay, they know what CBDCs are, that's one thing, and they see it as a threat to our own freedom as human beings, which I generally really think is the main purpose of crypto. Like, crypto is here to make us freer and being able to freely interact financially and globally. So for
To make
me,
us
it's a good
self-sovereign.
sign either way. Sorry, Dave, didn't get that?
He
Dave
said
was
to make
saying,
it, yeah.
Dave was saying to make it self-sovereign.
Oh shoot!
Woo.
All right,
Yeah.
guys, I gotta. Someone's calling me right now, so I gotta go. So I'll see you guys later. Thanks for
Give
having
our
me.
Bye,
best to
man.
Vitalik. Take care.
I will.
Yeah,
Bye.
enjoy the frisbee, yeah.
Yeah. So, Sir Advisor, as a resident of not the United States, there's one development out of the United States you might be very interested in seeing. This is a chart from OXNGMI, which I'm maybe sharing on screen here.
Can you try
I'm
again?
not
I'm
sharing
not
on.
seeing it right now.
I'm not sharing on screen here because it's got to be Sam who's had to step away
Okay.
with him. Check out OXNGMI, who's always posting amazing charts from DeFiLlama. He posted an interesting chart showing that for the past 5 years, the share of blockchain developers by region has plummeted from the United States. Used to be leading at 40%, the plurality stake, and it has actually dropped in 2022 to just 29%, which puts it tied with Europe. And Asia seems to be the biggest beneficiary. Asia in that time went from 7% to 13%.
Wow.
So what is the kind of take that you all are seeing on this from your interactions with people in the United States and around the world?
Well, basically, it's the fact that, the US is making it harder and harder for talented individual and bright young minds, usually young, to keep their talent in the US. It's like when LeBron James said he's taking his talent to Miami Beach, to South Beach. Like, people are, if they feel like they're being, persecuted, or I'm not sure how to say this word in English.
Yeah.
People just want to be able to do what they do and do it in a way in which they feel that they are both contributing to society and both being rewarded and respected for their actions. And if in a consistent manner these people are being presented as offenders, as like people who do not abide to the law, like, eventually they're gonna either leave or gonna choose other stuff, like becoming full-on anon, and then not paying taxes at all, and then they will be doing illegal stuff. So for me, it's a very natural and reasonable solution at the current state for people to say to themselves, even if they live in the US, okay, I'm gonna open an offshore company somewhere. I'm gonna the regulation in Asia suits me better. I'm gonna I'm gonna base a legal entity offshore, and the U.S. economy will not benefit from what I'm sure is like I have no idea about the actual numbers, but there's such a huge amount of Americans, talented young people who are building in this space and in the industry. It's just remarkable, and I definitely hope the US will flip and know how and learn how to keep this talent within, and how to benefit from this talent's capabilities and work.
Yeah, I think, look, it is objectively true that a lot of this is happening because like we live in a very like hostile environment for our industry. But I think like another way to probably look at this is like the problems that crypto solves today are more relevant outside of the United States. And as the bull run and like the mania dials back, and like us Americans just go back to like regular gambling or however else we were losing our money before the last bull run, like maybe it's just the reality that like developers in areas of the world that have like true inflation problems or true capital controls like stick around a little more. But like that's some like true copium.
Well, things may be pretty bleak off chain, but at least on chain we have Blend. So Blur launched Blend, of course, and if you look at some of the stats on that, it's been absolutely crazy, as you can see on Sam's screen here. Sam, you want to walk us through this?
Yeah. So just looking at the loan amount, like
Sorry, Sam, you're pretty quiet.
You're like, why is this better?
A little bit.
Okay. Well, in the past, since its launch, there's been 12,000 ETH that's been loaned out to Blend through Blur. So let's see, 408 total borrowers, 310 unique lenders. And wow, look at this. A lot of it's for like Azukis and Miladies, mostly Azukis and Miladies.
They only have those three.
They only Wrapped CryptoPunks, Azukis, and Miladies.
Yeah.
Exactly.
That's pretty awesome.
Like, yeah, look, and just like for quick math, right? Like 12,000 ETH is like over $20 million.
Yeah.
Overnight, literally overnight.
Network effect, anyone?
Yeah, first of all, like kudos to Blur, like and like unlocking just like a new, like behavior and maybe primitive. I don't know. I think like this will drastically change like the NFT exchange game, and I think like it's definitely a net benefit for like. Both for DeFi and NFTs, like as they grow together, I think it'll only show like the world what we're even doing here. The only thing I have to say is like, you guys like be really, really careful when you're using this stuff. Like, yes, there's a lot of volume and a lot of people doing it, but like essentially what people are doing is like taking their incredibly risky gambling and introducing like massive amounts of leverage to it. And so like, do your own research and then walk away and like never get involved in this stuff. But it's cool that it's happening.
And also, I gotta say, I think there's a lot of product market fit into the specific audience that wants to do this kind of stuff. Because I definitely agree with you, Haim. Like people should definitely be very cautious about it and know what they're doing. But there is also the culture issue of like we want to try stuff. We don't always want to know what we're doing.
Look, it's gambling, and leverage just makes gambling more fun. So it's a good place to be. Let's see. Sorry, I had to step away, but we're back now. Was there Garrett? What was up next?
Maybe
we covered.
Go Garrett. Go.
Oh, we covered a lot of the off-chain stuff. So we talked a lot about the kind of real-world collapse that's going on. But we've just been, enjoying the fact that there's NFTs and lots of on-chain stuff to keep us busy.
Yes.
Can we maybe mention the MEV protection offered by DeFiLlama? Did you see this headline?
Their new RPC. So everybody's getting an RPC. It's like you get an RPC. You get an RPC, Oprah meme. Everybody's starting their own RPCs now,
But that's a good thing, guys, right? Like to us as consumers to have as many choices and like gateways as possible. I guess that's a positive development for the crypto user.
Well, here's the question: would you rather use the most profitable RPC or the most decentralized RPC?
Well, it depends, honestly.
I just use the one out of my closet. Run your own node.
Exactly. Yeah.
But you're a pro, man. That's not the average consumer's choice,
Right. But what about for like non-ETH RPCs, right? Like for Arbitrum and Avalanche or Polygon or anything else, right? Solana.
Look, I think like we get so locked up into this like stuff about decentralization and like, okay, so like, let's say we have like 10 different RPCs in which you can access Arbitrum, right? And that like makes it more robust and censorship resistant, blah, 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 right? But if at the end of the day, the sequencer, like that actual computer that's like computing the transactions on Arbitrum and then like parlaying them into, into this like format that gets settled on Ethereum, like that's still just like one or two computers is controlled by off-chain labs. And so like, I think it's good to like be cognizant of the different layers and push for decentralization where inappropriate. But like the reality is that like with all chains, you're only as strong as your weakest link. And like, I don't really think that RPC is our problem right now. So huge fan of DeFiLlama, huge fan of like everything that they do, which is just like looking around and realizing that like all of the disparate tools are out there, but they're crap. And DeFiLlama can like wrap them together in a way that's actually usable. So huge fans of that. And huge fans of like pushing infrastructure, and let's just like make sure sequencers decentralized if we care about that.
But keep this concept in the back of your heads, because we've been talking with the CTO of Llama Nodes, who will hopefully be joining us early next week to talk more about this.
Yeah, it's gonna be really nice to have him on. Also happening in the DeFi space is Delphi Labs is offering a $200,000, I believe it's like a hackathon or a competition for projects that are building on Cosmos. So if you are a Cosmos builder, you should definitely join that. And another DeFi story that is happening is that Maverick Exchange. Have you guys heard of them?
No, I'm a bad DJ.
Oh, okay. Well, they've gotten over $1 billion of volume.
Wait, what?
Yeah.
Okay.
DeFi is insane, guys. DeFi is just insane.
So they have this like new type of automated market maker with concentrated liquidity, but I think we should have them on because it sounds like a new DEX that is definitely making waves, and they have just started their new liquidity incentive programs. So the idea is that they want to make the existing offerings more efficient and help keep prices more aligned. So looks interesting. I think we might have to have them on here.
We need them. I want to talk about this.
And
also,
then
I think we never mind. I'll discuss it with you later.
Oh, yeah. We'll talk about it. We'll talk about it afterwards. Let's see. Did you guys hear about this Dame tax that Biden is pushing?
Yeah.
So
I haven't read into it. Have you?
I did. So in the name of climate change, Biden is trying to push a 30% tax on Bitcoin mining specifically. So any sort of proof of work mining should have a 30% tax added to its electricity to combat the dangers of climate change and to help raise taxes. While noble, I think it's completely inane. I don't know how you actually figure out what okay, so the problem with this tax is that you have to know what they're computing, right? So how do you know that a computer is not, mining or doing graphical processing versus Bitcoin mining, right? There's no way to actually know. Like, and maybe you could go after these like large corporate farms that are in Texas, which again are not like mostly using renewables and are not actually leading towards climate change. So I just don't see how this is going to make any effect, and it's nothing more than just posturing, and it's never going to pass with the divided Congress as well too.
I agree, it's posturing. I think this is just messaging to all the normies out there that like don't know anything about Bitcoin other than like when they bought some in 2021 at $60,000, they're down and now they're mad, and so Biden just throws stuff out there that's not going to happen anyway. And I mean, look, like, well, it's just whatever. It's rules that's not going to happen. And all I have to say about this is like I was pretty convinced that the government was waiting for the merge to finish to like come out with some like pretty onerous rules, and I thought it was going to target Ethereum. It's just like funny to see it play out, where it's like they waited for the merge to finish and then they're going after Bitcoin. I thought it was okay.
Do they even know the merge has happened? Like, are they that much updated that they know like this kind of detail? Do you think?
I think
there's some people that are very informed within the administration, and some people that aren't.
Yeah,
So,
look, this tax is doing anything in the name of climate change when crypto mining has a variety of sources. The thing that people I think lose sight of when talking about mining is that most of these mining operations are in the middle of nowhere. And to transmit that power from, the ass end of Texas or the middle of Canada to a populated city is expensive. And, you may not have the transmission lines or the ability to store all that power, and it needs to go somewhere, right? Either they just run it back into the ground, or they can sell that excess power to miners who are going to use it and help load balance the network. So it just doesn't make any sense to me, right? Like people just assume that like power is on when you plug in your computer, right? But they don't understand the deep mechanics of how power is created, how it's transmitted from one place to another, and that energy in itself is very like pocketed. It's very regional, right? So like you could have very cheap power in one place, like the middle of nowhere in Texas, where they're doing a lot of natural gas extraction, um, or they just have an abundance of power that they need to get rid of, right? Versus like the middle of California, where there's a lot of rules and regulations on the type of energy production that you can have, and all of these green agenda things that are creating solar panels and wind farms and stuff, which have different load than what you would have in Texas. So I just it seems inane and impossible to actually go after. And
for one,
yeah, and then the thing is like it won't stop at Bitcoin, right? So any sort of non-preferential industry which is deemed to be like a polluter will be the ones that they'll go after next. So like if you're going after compute, just like general compute, and you have no idea what these computers are doing, they're just on and they're processing information. Well, it's Bitcoin today, but then it's like AI tomorrow, right? And that's not the world you want to live in, right? Like, because how do you know if a system is computing AI versus if it's running Bitcoin transactions? You don't. There's no way to actually know. And so this is just the beginning of like heavy-handed taxes that are going to be leveraged at like general compute to like punish a small subsect or small subsection of a digital economy.
So I don't know. I, for one, kind of enjoy the cognitive dissonance in this position that cryptocurrencies have no real world use cases, and yet it's such a compelling threat that it basically requires the full attention of every branch of government. I don't really know how normies resolve these two in their head.
Yeah.
Also, this whole situation, like this whole announcement or whatever, this is definitely making my like authoritarian alarm warning bell ring, because it's just it's another attempt of having like the absolute power over something which is not necessarily like needs to be controlled by such power, and it does need to be controlled by the free market. And like the government always wants like another way to make sure that it can enforce its power. It doesn't matter on which side this government is or where it is or whatever. Like a government likes to be strong, and this is another thing that seems like, I don't know, this it doesn't sound appropriate or like very libertarian at all.
No, and it'll just push the industry overseas into China and Kazakhstan.
Yeah, I mean, whatever. Look, honestly, like Bitcoin should be dead. It's like we're literally wasting electricity for no fucking reason.
No.
Yeah, look, if you guys can take like the most like strong, like, oh, the government is gonna like come and ruin everything, then I'll take the other one where it's just like, I don't know, man. Like you want a very easy way that they could figure out how to tax this without going after AI. They just tax this, like, oh, you generated profits from Bitcoin, therefore you owe the tax. Like it has nothing to do with compute. It's tax.
Yeah, we already have that, and it's called capital gains tax.
Yeah, and you just add supplemental taxes for polluting industries. This is like generic, basic, like environmental controls.
I think there's deep distaste for adding extra capital gains on to specific industries. You just don't see that anywhere. Like, tell me one.
That's not true.
Okay.
I came from the beer industry. Do you know how many extra taxes we had to pay?
Yeah, but those are like excise taxes and things. Like those are levied by the state. For sales, right?
No.
Like,
you even got the Bud Light shirt to prove it.
Okay.
Yeah, that's not what they are.
Okay. I think that drinking probably kills a lot more people than crypto does.
All right,
but we'll just leave it at that. That's a good place to end on. It's a very
I actually think this can be a separate episode with a great discussion. Because I think this is a real discussion. Like with like we can see that we really care about this stuff and we have different perspectives. I like it a lot, and it's great that we have like some kind of diversity, like real diversity within our like channel as well.
Well, that's a good place to wrap up on. We went a little longer today, but it was nice to have DeFi Dave on. Thank you for coming on, Dave. And today is May 3rd, 2023, and we will be back tomorrow until the tide brings back in the giant Cthulhu to.
I'm like down to go this whole like cult route. Like I'll be an acolyte.
I will be as well. We need way more Cthulhu. So
Yeah.
See you guys tomorrow. Thank you so much for tuning in, and make sure to follow us on YouTube and Twitter and everywhere, and Telegram as well too. So, actually, we just broke 500 subscribers on Telegram yesterday. So thank you so much for everybody who is subscribed to us. The growth has been amazing for the short time that we've been around, and you guys are the best. So thank you so much. We'll see you tomorrow.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks, guys.